Hey guys, Blue Kool-Aid here. I got some pretty groundbreaking stuff here, guys, to talk about. And there's an article here, guys. It says it right here. Earth's atmosphere extends beyond the moon. Okay. The nonchalant reader, just typical person picking a magazine up or reading it on their phone at a doctor's office or whatever, waiting on an appointment somewhere, would just read this and kind of skip on and not even think twice about it. But this is big news, guys. Okay? It's saying in this article written by Deborah Bird that our atmosphere is way bigger than what they thought. Okay, I'm going to preface this by saying our atmosphere has different levels, different sections, you could call it. There's a thermosphere, but what they're talking about here is the outermost layer of our atmosphere called the geosphere, or geocorona. I'm sorry, not the geosphere, geocorona. All right. Now I want you guys to tie that into what we talk about here a lot, corona. What does that refer to? Usually the sun, right? The sun's corona. All right. But they're calling this the geocorona, which has always been a part of our atmosphere. I guess I didn't retain that particular nugget of information when I was coming up through school, but that is the truth. That's what's going on. There's a geocorona, okay? I don't know why I haven't thought about this before, but this article has really put a lot of stuff in my head, and I'm still processing this, and you guys won't be able to process it all at once either, because what this is saying is that the moon is in our atmosphere. Okay? They're saying the geocorona goes out about 91,000 miles or something like that. Let's see here. Where does it say? Let's find the... Yeah, 630,000 kilometers. Nearly 400,000 miles up. Okay? The moon is 283,000 miles, I think. Something like that. Okay? Now, I just said that very nonchalantly. Okay? It tells you right here what the geocorona is. It's a cloud of hydrogen atoms made faintly luminous in the far ultraviolet via scattered sunlight was known to exist. Okay? But it says right here, no one knew it reached so far into space. It extends nearly twice as far as the moon's orbit. Okay? So what does that mean in the grand scheme of things? Well, first off, it means that our moon is in our atmosphere. Second, it means that if we, even, throwing out that conspiracy that we never went to the moon, if we went to the moon, that means that we, they always talk about going through those radiation belts, right? That would mean that those are in our atmosphere. That's what that would mean. And here's kind of the big thing, okay? Technically, if this is true, the human race, or at least as we know it, has never been to space. Even if we went to the moon. Because the moon's inside our geocorona, which is part of our atmosphere. Which means it was never fully in the vacuum of space. Okay? That's what that means. So, you start having to question everything at that point. The guy that took the balloon up and jumped in the spacesuit, right? Said he was on the edge of space. Well, according to this, no, he wasn't. Oh, no, you didn't. It's kind of... Sorry. Anyway. Throw a little humor in there, I guess. But here's where I get upset, guys. Okay, this is where I get upset, and everybody in this complete world, whatever you want to call it, this should really upset you. Okay? This is the reason why we're so polarized, no pun intended. Because this information that has been released was there for 20 years. Okay, SOHO. We talk about SOHO all the time. The space-based observatory, right? It looks at the sun, does all kinds of things, right? Well, there's a tool on it that's pretty sensitive in it, and it was able to detect this. Okay? Now, what they're saying, okay, there's multiple articles on this one, but this one says that 20-year-old data, let that sink in, man. 20-year-old data from the space-based SOHO Observatory has revealed, and look at the word they used here, an amazing fact about the Earth. Yeah, I agree that's amazing. But at the same time, because it was 20 years ago that they knew this, or should have known it, that word should be ridiculous. It's a ridiculous fact about the Earth that we should have known a long time ago. It shouldn't be amazing, okay? Yeah, it's amazing that this thing is so big. But, you know, like I said, I'm going to pull the Harry Stamper line. From Armageddon. You guys are NASA. And this is the best you got? I mean, come on, guys. Seriously? You can't tell me there weren't smart enough people there to know that this data was sitting there in the archive for 20 years and they just now pawed through it. Whatever. Nobody would ever convince me that that's actually what happened. These guys are supposedly supposed to be the smartest people on the planet. But yet they can overlook something so small as some archived data that they should have looked at. And took them 20 years to get around to it. And why now? That's what you got to ask yourself. Why now? With everything else that's going on, right? World, geopolitically. Okay? Just in our world in general. The stuff we're talking about, magnetic north. All this other kind of stuff. These big, huge auroras that Dr. Albers just reported on. In the shape of, you know, a dragon. And a phoenix from a few months back. Okay, if our atmosphere is stretching out that far, it affects our auroras too, guys. It's the energy bouncing off of our atmosphere that causes these auroras. Sprites, okay. I mean, not collucent clouds. You know, even just. Okay, here's where my mind's going, guys. Okay, I did a video yesterday, and I hope you guys watched it, because, you know, I can't believe that I made that video yesterday. And I've talked about what I talked about yesterday before, like even back to the beginning of my channel. But I hadn't, remember, if you guys watched my video from yesterday, I hadn't even reported on anything in our magnetosphere for a good while, like over a week, because I was looking at the Schumann resonance and all other stuff that I was showing videos of. But yet I chose yesterday to do a video on the magnetosphere, right? Why yesterday? I mean, was that something that, I mean, I'm not trying to say I was led to do that or anything like that, because I wasn't. I wasn't led to do anything. I just did it. But it's a pretty big coincidence that they come out with this right after I make this video, and I want to explain to you why. Okay? When we look, and we had the big earthquake today, right, guys? The 7 was a 7.7. It got downgraded to a 7.5 in Ecuador. You know, directly related to the coronal hole that increased our solar winds. Okay? Now, what I was showing you guys yesterday, let's just go over here. Okay? What I was showing you guys yesterday, that it was acting weird, right? And what I mean by weird is that we had a coronal hole, so we should have been getting increased winds coming from the sun over here, right? Now, again, what's normal, what's not? Well, we can look at that number, 477. Okay, that's kilometers a second that the solar wind's moving, okay? Now, that's on the higher end of normal, in my opinion. Okay, we usually run roughly, and I've said this before, I guess a middle number would be like 3 to 350. It can get lower. I've seen it lower, and I've seen it way high. I've seen it up over 2,000 kilometers a second before at very extreme times. Okay, and that's when the sun was really healthy and active. Okay, but what I showed you guys yesterday, remember? I showed you. When we get that corona hole, it should have been way more intense solar winds than what we had. And it wasn't happening. But here's what threw me for a loop yesterday, and it ties right into what I'm talking about right now with everything that we've just been talking about. You know, no energy coming from the sun, but yet what I want you guys to look at, and I pointed this out so many times, right here in this area, the magnetics change there constantly and then shoot out the back. But what's important about that is that when it does that, about 75 to 80% of the time, none of the stuff from the sun is changing. So in other words, what's causing this here in the middle isn't coming from the sun. Okay, so basically what I'm theorizing here is, if the sun can have a coronal hole, is it possible that our geocorona, which means earth corona, geo, you know, you can go down base, you know, root words and kind of figure that out on your own. But that's basically what that means. And it starts here, and I've said this a bunch. Okay, so I'm going to take this sidebar, and you're going to see it. I showed this yesterday. See it right there? Nothing in the front, guys. Our bow shock didn't even bend down. Okay, and it shoots off the back. Okay, no changing color. And then we've seen this really weird looking thing. Okay, look at that. And it changes and it shoots off. Right? And at the same time, even if you look up here, see it says 650? Okay, yes, that is starting to speed up. I think it gets like to 700 right there, which still is not that fast. That's what I'm trying to say, guys. That is not enough to really, I mean, yes, it can make our bow shock bend a little bit, and it actually does right here if you watch it real close. Okay, but it's nothing extreme. That's my point. And then you see these, this is where we start seeing odd stuff. You see the green inside the blue here. Okay, why is that? Why does most things start right here on the backside of the earth going this way when there's nothing going on out here? This is what's bothering me, okay? This is why I'm stuck on this. Is it really having what was termed like an earth mass ejection? I don't want to call it something like that, because I don't think it's plasma or nothing like that, like comes off the surface of the sun. But we've talked about this before here on my channel, how we think that the earth is acting as a capacitor and releasing energy off the backside. Well, is it because we get a little bit increased solar winds makes us release it? Or is it because we're actually having some sort of a reaction or a hole in our geocorona, causing that to just go ahead and release by any little bit of disturbance from the front? Because frankly, this little bit of disturbance right here isn't nothing. I mean, that's just like completely normal, and most people would disagree with that. So, but watch this. I mean, we'll go ahead and run it through, and it does it over and over and over again. Now, you'll see the bow shock bend a little bit right there, okay? But what I want you to pay attention to, now you see this, okay? The bow shock didn't bend because of what was going on here. Something happened here, and it pushed it out. And then it came back in. Watch. Okay, nothing in the front, nothing in the front. See how it kind of got pushed out a little bit there? Now watch right here. Here it comes. See it? Do you see it bow out? Okay. Look, I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, you can even see it bow out right here. It's going to go this direction. Okay, all around it. And not much, but it does it. Okay. See it? It didn't go in first. It went out first. This is my point. This did not come from the sun. This energy did not come from the sun that caused our bow shock to react like that. I've been saying this for a long time. Look. Okay? I mean, it goes out before it comes in. See? Watch. Starts here. It'll move to the right. The red that you see here. Okay, the bow shock. See it? It moved out. Not in. And then it goes back to normal, which sometimes can fool your eye thinking that it went in first. Well, it didn't. You got to slow it down and you got to look. Okay? This is what I'm trying to say. I hope I explained that good enough. But you can see it right there in the middle. It just keeps. It look even, we use the term bottleneck. Look. That looks like a bottleneck. I mean, and then why would we have this perfect half circle here? Well, you know what that looks like to me? That looks like we have a bow shock off the backside of the earth. Like it's trying to protect, the earth's trying to protect itself from something coming from, this direction. Okay? Like something's coming from back here, reacting with everything that's going on. And is that the case? I don't know. I don't know if there's really something there or not. But I will say this, the magnetics that are getting disrupted in this, almost 100% of the time start right here. And if you look, we're going to zoom in here, and you're going to see, you see these little asterisks right here? That's one of the satellites. Okay, and the moon, I think, is right there. So if you take that distance here and you double it, where does that take you? About right there, right? So that right there is telling you, if you take that towards the back side, it's about this size. It's roughly right to there, right? Look, it's right where I pointed, where everything starts. Right at the end of our, basically it's right at the end of our geocorona. That's where that stuff's starting at. Every time. So that's what I'm trying to put forth here, guys. That's just something I'm thinking about here. Thought it was important. You guys should know that if that data that they just gave us, that actually means technically we've never been to space. At least that's the way I understand it. If we haven't made it out of our geocorona, that means that we actually haven't made it out of our atmosphere, which means that we haven't been into the complete vacuum of space. Okay? I mean, just follow that in your mind and let this sink in a little bit. And guys, if you guys got any other ideas, please throw it in my comment section. This really does bother me. Okay? And I don't want to, like I said, guys, I'm trying to be as positive as I can about this, but it's obvious that they lied about this data. Okay? They knew this already. It wasn't something that was overlooked 20 years ago. Now they just got around to going through the archived data. Sorry. Sorry. No way. No way. Not with the budget they have. Not with the smart people they supposedly had. Like I said, Harry Stanford said it best. You're NASA, and this is what you got? Really? Anyway, guys. I'm really trying to just calm down here a little bit. Got a headache going on and everything. This really... When I seen this article over in Marfugel when he was doing it, man, it just... Wow, I almost hung up the phone. Didn't even do my call because I was trying to process that in my head. But this would play right into all this stuff. The auroras, like I said, and it would play into all of our magnetics that's going on. I mean, this would have a huge effect on the way we view space. Okay? And undoubtedly, people are going to talk about the globe model and the flat earth model and the dome model and all this kind of stuff. And I guarantee you this is going to come into the conversation now. Okay, because it's been said bunches of times on the flat earth model that the earth would have to be that the moon and the sun would have to be inside the dome. Basically, inside the firmament. And rotating in some weird ways and all those kinds of things. And like I said, I'm not advocating for either model. My personal belief, globe. Okay? That's what I believe. Does that mean that your theory isn't valid? No, it does not. Okay? I mean, you know, you can believe in flat earth. It doesn't change the way I view you or think you're crazy or anything like that. No more than people think that I'm crazy for reporting on what I report. It's just I see people get so upset with anybody, and I see it for myself firsthand when somebody shares their theories with me. And most of the time it starts off as a conversation and respectful, but I've come to realize that a lot of those conversations end up being baited. And I hate to say this, but it's the truth. And what it ends up being is, if I don't end up coming around to the way that you think, and I'm not speaking about everybody, guys, okay? This is very few. I just want to say that. Most everybody is awesome. Okay, but when I don't believe what... I'm not asking you guys to believe anything that I believe. Okay? I'm not. I'm just showing you my observations, and I want to let you guys make up your own mind. I just want the same respect, guys. I really do. And again, I'm talking to the very few right here when I'm talking about this. You know, and I love those guys too, just as much as anybody else. You know, so it is what it is, man. I just don't know what else to say about it, guys. This has really thrown me for a loop a little bit, but anyway, guys, I hope you guys go research this for yourself. I'll be doing future videos on this, obviously. And again, we'll just take that to there. You can see it, guys. So we'll run it through one more time. Nothing coming from the sun, but the earth is reacting with something. Okay? I mean, look at that. It just continuously just blows right on off the back. And again, God bless. Yeshua saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid.